Welcome to this August tarot reading for inner growth and healing. As always, this is not going to be a predictive reading. I'm not going to tell you how your August is going to go. This reading is here to help you reconnect with your intuition so that you can remember what you already know deep inside, so that you can maybe let go of things that are no longer needed and lean into other places so that you can grow into your higher self. Let's dive in. So for the first card, where are you? Where are you coming into this August? With what energy? We got the Seven of Cups. And the Seven of Cups is all about choices. As you can see in this card, there are many, many cups. And this could be a time of brainstorming, of ideas, of dreaming. But the thing with the Seven of Cups is it's often associated with having too many ideas and being a little bit lost by all those ideas. So for example, I love the way this card depicts that feeling. Because in this card, for example, right here, the sun is at the bottom and the moon is at the top, and it's white snowy mountains with a dark background. But if you turn the card upside down, the sun is on the top finally, and it's black mountains with the white sky and the sun on top. And it's kind of like you don't know which side is up and which side is down. And I feel like that is a really good representation of that moment when we have a lot of choices and we just don't really know what to do. So that's how you're coming into August. What's really interesting is for the second card, what is the lesson that you're learning this August? We actually got the one major arcana we got in this reading, and it is the Wheel of Fortune. And interestingly enough, the two images are really, really similar in the sense that the moon is at the top and the sun is at the bottom. So I find that you coming in with this energy into August, this energy of kind of being overwhelmed by a lot of choices, is mirrored by this lesson that you will be learning during the month of August. So what is the Wheel of Fortune? The Wheel of Fortune is a card about change and cycles and understanding that change is not a punishment. Life is not happening to you. Things go up and down, and that change is a constant part of life. So probably the lesson to learn this month of August is to release the need to feel secure all the time and to actually accept that change is part of life. And believe me, I know that is really hard. It's still a lesson I'm learning, and I think this is definitely a lesson I'll be learning in August myself. To me, it's also the way that we deal with change and the way we deal with things that come to us. And it really reminds me of that story of the farmer, where all of a sudden his horse runs away, and his neighbor comes up to him and says, "Oh, that's so bad. That's such bad luck." And the farmer says, "Who knows?" And the next day, his horse shows up with a mare. And so he gained a second horse. And the neighbor comes and says, "Oh my gosh, you're so lucky." And then the farmer says, "I don't know. Who knows?" And then the next day, his son tries to tame the new mare and he falls off and he breaks a leg. And the neighbor comes back up and says, "Oh, you really are unlucky." And the farmer says, "Who knows?" And then the next day, actually, the army comes in and takes all the men who are healthy and able to fight away. And all the young men from that village are taken except for this one, the farmer's son, because he had broken his leg. And so then the neighbor comes over and says, "Oh, I don't know. Are you lucky or not lucky?" I think that's a real metaphor for how to kind of be able to accept change, because you never know what is the outcome of something. And we have a tendency sometimes to just like really focus on what we see right in the present. I know, for example, for me, recently I was supposed to have a contract start in September for my job, and it fell through. And so all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, this is, I'm having to reorganize myself and rethink about what I'm going to do financially, also with my time. And at the same time, maybe I can't see farther down the line. Maybe this is actually a really good thing. And so I think that this lesson is not necessarily, we will react to things when they first happen. I'm not saying that you're obviously just going to be like, "Oh, this is great," or be like the farmer. Even the farmer's reaction, sometimes I'm like, "Really? I mean, your son just broke his leg. Aren't you going to like react?" But what I'm saying is I think that there is something there to just remember that we can't see the whole big picture. And sometimes, maybe something that is bad might become something good, and vice versa. Something's good might become bad. And so if we can just start to understand that we can't see the whole big picture, and that in a way, it's the way we react to things that make it hard or not. So let's look on what you're being called to release. And for that, we got the Mother of Pentacles. This is such a sweet card. We see this mother deer protecting her little fawn, and there's nothing bad about this card per se. The fact, though, that it's in the position of what needs to be released this month makes me think that maybe, sometimes when we are so taking care of other people and so putting other people's needs in front of our own, we can really get into burnout. It can also feel like a sacrifice. And to me, what this is just to remember that actually putting your needs first can be a very important thing. It reminds me of actually when you're on a plane, and they always tell you that you need to put your air mask on if it comes down first, which is true. You cannot help somebody else if your cup is not full. So this is a reminder that, like, maybe this month, release the need to put everybody first. Remember that you also are important in your needs, in your time, in your energy. And so not to feel guilty, let's say, for, taking care of yourself. In terms of what can you lean to, what is something that you can grow, we got the Son of Cups. So the Knight of Cups is all about leaning into your emotions and leaning into, basically feeling things and letting yourself like be this card is often thought to be the romantic. And I always tend to think that the Knights are kind of like the teenagers of the court cards, because they're at that kind of in-between phase. And what I think is really sweet about this card is that there's, this kind of gray background and all these colors are coming out of the cup, and he almost seems surprised by these colors. We always tend to think in the spiritual world like to lean into the heart and lean into the emotions, but we're always kind of expecting that those emotions are love and happiness and wonderful things. But sometimes those emotions are also kind of negative, and they can surprise us, and they might be not what we're expecting or what we kind of wished for. But they're what's coming out of the cup, and that's maybe what we need to lean into. Also, the other reason I'm saying that is because for the next card, the card for how can you actually get in touch with your intuition this month, we got this really scary card, the Three of Swords. And it's just really funny because this is actually sometimes considered one of the worst cards or the hardest cards in the whole deck, because it speaks of heartache and heartbreak and just sadness, deep, deep emotional, pain. And the interesting thing, though, is that since it's in the position of what can we do in order to get in touch with our intuition, well, I think in a way it's by actually, being able to address those really hard emotions that come up, maybe the emotions that are coming up in this cup, that in a way we sometimes, they're so hard we tend to repress them or try to avoid them. But as a result, we're not listening to a part of ourselves. And our intuition isn't always bad. It's not going to always be these hard emotions. But at the same time, if we don't listen to that part of the intuition, it's almost like we're blocking out a whole part. We're not wanting to hear the whole voice. We're only wanting to hear what we want. The thing is, what I'm thinking about these emotions that are coming up maybe in the month of August, I don't think they're new. I think that these are kind of deep wounds, and that's why it's linked to the intuition. And kind of, I think that there are things that were happening in the past that we might just need to come to terms with. And in terms of how to stay grounded this month, we got the Daughter of Swords. And I think that's a really interesting kind of thing to go with this one, because the Daughter of Swords is all about curiosity and kind of new ideas and kind of new ways of seeing things. The pages are actually the youngest of the court cards, and as a result, they're kind of childish, but as a result, they're also very childlike in a good way. They have fresh new ways of seeing things. They see things in a different light. They haven't been kind of formatted by society, and so they can see things in a new way. And I think that goes really, really well with this, because if you can maybe re-see maybe some of those past pains, the way they're coming up in a new light, maybe see them in a different way that you hadn't seen, to be curious about them, to be open, and maybe to reframe too, reframe those old stories, because we have the possibility. And sometimes maybe if you see it in a different way and you see it with new eyes, fresh eyes, like a child, maybe you're going to see the whole situation in a different way, and it might help you be able to just, move through those emotions in a new way. And finally, for the last card, a message from your guides or your angels or your higher self, however you like to see it. We got the Father of Cups. And to me, I find that this is like kind of a really good goal that they're telling us, because the Father of Cups is somebody who is able to live his emotions and to live them fully, but also not to get caught up in the drama, maybe more like the teenager, and not be surprised by them, let's say. But the Father is just able to live them, to feel them, to like let them pass through them, and then to be able to not get overwhelmed by them either. To me, the message is this is the ultimate goal. This is where we're going towards. But maybe this month we're kind of going to be exploring different things and living it and, learning it as we go. So on that, I'm wishing you a wonderful month of August. As always, I'm sending you lots of love and lots of laughter through your inner growth and healing. And I will see you next video. Thanks so much for watching.